Roads. When it comes to getting you and I where we need to go today, they play a vital role. But when it comes to the future, I was curious to better understand how well prepared are our roads to handle the very real challenges that are coming down the track. And importantly, what might this mean for how you and I get from A to B? And what I discovered is, it looks like our roads are terribly prepared for the future.
Consecutive days of concrete scorching heat can take a toll on roads.
Across the American Pacific Northwest are buckling.
The design and management of our roads and infrastructure will be key.
They are melting due to the extreme heat.
This video explores why. Picture for a moment what our roads are going to need to be able to handle in the decades to come. And to get a sense of this, let's take a trip to Minnesota in the US. It's June 2021, and Minnesota is experiencing the third longest streak of intense heat since records began.
Our roads are buckling to this record high heat.
The heat is buckling roads into chassis bending angles here in southern Minnesota.
This is creating ideal conditions for something the Minnesota Department for Transport calls road blowouts, or road explosions. And by the last day of the month, the department will have responded to 43 similar incidents. A departmental spokesperson described these road blowouts as a traffic emergency. But these weren't isolated cases. Roads made of concrete are particularly prone to blowouts during prolonged spells of intense heat. And in the US alone, there's a lot of concrete road miles. An estimated 60% of America's interstate system is made up of this stuff, particularly in urban areas. So why is concrete so vulnerable? A quick explainer. Concrete roads are made up of panels or slabs around 15 to 20 foot long. You probably experienced the da-dun, 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 da-dun sound as it makes as you drive over them. There are gaps between these slabs on purpose to allow them to expand and contract as the temperatures rise and fall, but within a certain operational range. Exceed that range and that's when the problems present themselves. The choice of transport construction materials and the methods for such infrastructures are generally made assuming a static climate. That's a problem. And in the conditions of a heat dome, when temperatures sit above the upper limits of what the concrete was designed to cope with, there's just nowhere for that concrete to expand into, meaning the road can just go pop. So as temperatures rise, we face the spectre of large stocks of our road infrastructure being expected to operate outside the temperatures they were designed for. In other words, our roads are terribly prepared for a future of rising temperatures. So what else will our roads have to handle in the future? For one thing, demand. For reference, the current length of the global road network stretches more than 20 million kilometres, and that'll get you to the moon and back more than 25 times. So where might this demand come from? Road building can be driven by a range of factors, but researchers believe that there are three key ones that we should pay attention to: population growth, urbanisation, and GDP. Tracking 5 possible scenarios for future road growth, one paper arrived at a fairly unsurprising destination: there'll be more roads. More specifically, somewhere in the region of 3 to 5 million kilometres of more road, expected mostly in South America, Africa, South Asia and East Asia. So new people living in new urban cities with new wealth will play a leading role in shaping the future length and location of our roads. But these patterns of future demand might be disrupted and distorted even further by another factor. New technology. New technologies will allow more remote working and more remote living. These might tug in the opposite direction of urbanisation, making the picture of where we'll need our roads even more unclear. But perhaps there's an even more fundamental question that we should be asking. After all, will we want or need roads in the way that we imagine we will? Take our cities. Many have been built with cars in mind, not people. One study by MIT professor of urban planning, Iran Ben Yosef, reported that in many US cities, parking lots cover more than a third of the land area. If you add it all up, Americans have made a parking lot the size of Delaware and Rhode Island combined. And do we really want cars where we live? Sure, cars bring convenience, but they also bring congestion, air and noise pollution, making walking about less safe, and as we just mentioned, they demand a lot of space. But what about an even more fundamental question? Will we even need cars in the future? Well, probably yes, but in the numbers we have right now, possibly no. Our love affair with the car has been one of ownership. If you want to enjoy the convenience and freedom to travel where you want, when you want, the traditional way is to own a car. But that model is under threat. Already 10% of millennials have opted for ride sharing over car ownership, according to Jeff Holden. And he sees this as just the beginning, as the cost of autonomous cars could fall to such an extent that the cost of car ownership will just look ridiculous compared with ride sharing. And it's not just about saving money. What about the time you'll get back from not being tied to a steering wheel, stuck in traffic gridlock? You could use that time for other more pleasurable activities. This, of course, presumes that we can get autonomous cars to work safely in the messy, complex environment that is our roads. But even if the switch to autonomous cars has somewhat stalled, the transition from car as a possession to car as a service is definitely up and running. Then there are places like Amsterdam and Copenhagen where roads doesn't just mean cars, it can just as easily mean bikes. Twixt hype and reality, the pendulum will no doubt continue to swing. Whatever the future holds, our roads do need to be prepared for changes in climate change and patterns of use, and there are ideas out there from new modes of transport to superblocks to novel new road surfaces to help us prepare for what we know is coming. But if our roads do look terribly prepared for the future, this all begs the question, why do we struggle to imagine what the future might look like and just prepare for it? To understand what it is that we get wrong when we think about the future, and it is a little bit surprising, continue on to this video right here. Thanks for watching.